will now begin the regular scheduled public, oh wait, sorry, just kidding. Roll call.
Bill Jordan is not here. Glickman,
Not here.
Lonegro,
Here.
Roth is not here.
Correct.
Shear,
She's coming.
okay. Servant.
Here.
Warshaw.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we will now begin the regular scheduled public participation in portion of our meeting. Do we have any requests for public comment? We have one online one. I will read it into the record. Okay. I've got it. In accordance with Board Policy 2-230, during each regular and special open meeting of the board, any person may comment. Wait, is this what he submitted? No.
No.
Sorry.
Second page. Keep going. I think it's just this.
Oh, okay, just kidding. Okay, we request emails from you to request the Jane Stenson end of alley stop sign be immediately installed there for public safety. Third request for this, all caps, still not completed, all caps, major public safety hazard, period. Thank you, Mr. Dalka. All right, superintendent updates.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for coming out in the rain. We appreciate your time. I have just a few quick, short updates. First, several dates. So July 7th, 8th, and 9th is our annual leadership retreat. So we have been doing this for years, but we have extended it to 3 days over the last 2 years just to give us time as a team to prepare for the upcoming school year. So looking forward to that. August 12th to 14th is our new educator orientation. August 19th through 20th are the Teacher Institute days. Thursday, August 20th, 5 p.m., I'll talk about it more in a minute, we have the Early Childhood Center ribbon cutting event. I'm very excited about that. Shortly following that is our regular scheduled board meeting at 7 p.m. August 21st is Teacher Plan Day, and then the first day of school for grades K-8 is August 25th, and then Tuesday, August 26th is the first day of school for our new Early Childhood Center. Thursday, August 28th is the next Board of Education meeting. We are tentatively looking at an IASB school board self-evaluation training that date as well. There are 3 other dates I want to just mention. These are newer to mention, but the NTDSC offers a parent group summer meeting, and their target audience for this are parents and caregivers of students at Malloy, NTDSC satellite classrooms, and member district special education classrooms. This is a space that is welcoming for any parents and caregivers to connect, share experiences, support one another. There's an element of confidentiality, and it's meant to really build a center of community for those family members. If interested, you can visit the NTDSC website, www.ntdsc.org. Click on families, then listing of parent events. So I just wanted to mention that.
Real quick,
Sure.
Thursday is August 27th.
Ooh, thank you. Thursday, August 27th is our Board of Ed meeting. You have no reason to miss it now, folks. I do want to transition, though. I just want to give a couple of quick updates. This is actually the last board meeting we'll have before the opening of the new ECC. So just want to give you a couple of quick flyovers on that. Thank you so much, Dr. Samajeni. We've got our new strategic plan pillars, and couldn't really pick the next one which value this aligns to the most, but I felt like everyone, because it's such a community affair and we're excited for the new space. But one of the things that came up along the way was an opportunity for improvements to signage, both at the ECC as well as along Kenton and here at the district office. So these are just sort of a sampling of some of the current signs. They're not in the worst shape, but one of the things we've gotten feedback about is low visibility. A lot of the signs are less than 2.5 to 3 feet high, and when cars park on Kenton, you can't see the signage. So we have an opportunity with some new signage coming up here next. Most of the same locations, but you will see there are some new opportunities for confusion, particularly with the circle drive that will be installed off Grosse Pointe. That will be a service entrance for buses only, so we'll have a sign there. And the remainder of signs exist in their current place, with the exception of a couple of new additions to the buildings themselves. So, existing signage on the top and the bottom left, with upgrades and a swapping out of the digital sign to be more computer accessible, so we'll have more frequent updates and it'll be better pixelation, so we'll be able to give more descriptive messaging. Right now we're very limited on what we can communicate to the community, so we're excited about that. We can also do things like QR codes with this to allow passenger buys to just be able to scan it, of course, to access information on the website, etc. But on the far right is what I'm most excited about, which is the new wayfinding signage, which I think is going to go a really long way. So that will be approximately 5 feet in height, so it will definitely increase visibility and will help. We often find parents who might be lost in the parking lot or confused on which entrance. So this will really help hopefully provide more clarity and also improve traffic flow and of course safety along the way. Obviously they won't all look like that in terms of direction, but that was just a sampling for the 3 major sites here on the campus. Go to the next one. This is exciting. So Old Orchard currently, you saw, has a limestone and brick sign in the front. Very low visibility. It does have lights on it, so there's already electricity to that area. And we have an opportunity to upgrade to a similar sign to what will be at the corner of Grosse Pointe. This will be really nice for announcements at the junior high, given the busyness there in the junior high, as well as increased building signage. So right now we do not have any signage on the building itself. So they are proposing to put a sign up in the top right that is the school name. What is unique is it will be uniform in that our other schools all have very similar aluminum faced lettering, so we'll have some consistency across the district. But given the fact that we have nightly events, basketball and things like that in the winter, it will light up, which I think will be a cool new addition to the campus, if you will, and will help direct folks who are visiting the school in the evening for evening events even more. Similarly, in the Early Childhood Center, in the construction process, we decided to add lettering to the building, so you'll see what that looks like just there. That'll be to the right of the new main entrance. And then Jane Stenson, as wonderful as the current vintage lettering is, I mean that with full sincerity, we did want to add some more uniformity, so they will also receive an upgrade to the aluminum lettering as well. We're really trying to create the brand of Skokie 68 with a couple of new pops of color, also likely in the fall that will come on the campus. Really low-hanging fruit in terms of expense, but we have some ideas to just help bring some of the color and some of the school colors and the mascots even more front and center to help the buildings shine. So I think that's it. I think that was the last slide. Oh, and of course, last but not least, our ribbon cutting ceremony. So I think you all have an invite in front of you. But as I mentioned, August 20th at 5 o'clock, this is open to the entire public. We'll have, thank you, we'll have small treats along the way, but we'll also be able to walk the space. It looks really, really amazing. It changes even more now every 2 to 3 days. It's really come a long way. So we're excited and look forward to hopefully seeing as many of you there as possible on August 20th. It's open to the whole community. Any questions about anything presentation-wise? Welcome. Hearing none. All right, moving on. The last thing I have, I believe, are FOIAs. We did have 6 FOIAs between the last meeting and now. May 22nd, the district received a request from C. Carlos from Employee Research Data requesting first and last names, job titles and positions, work email addresses, primary campus apartment locations. Response was sent. May 26th, the district received a request from Jacob Plaza from SCIU requesting a list of all school district employees current as of the date of this request. The response was sent. May 29th, the district received a commercial request from Ryan Baker from the Data Branch Research Team on all purchase orders issued between June 1st, 2025 and present. The response is pending. pending. June 4th, the district received a request from Nicholas Brown for the data branch regarding all products from the following: Apogee, Final Site, Parent Square, School Messenger, and Blackboard. The response is pending. June 8th, the district received a request from Daniel Kramer from Upgrade Research requesting electronic copies of existing records held by the district, specifically interested in the following documents: utility statements, and the most recent final copy of the following from January 1st, 2020 to now: facility condition assessment, energy audits, etc. Response is pending. And then on June 11th, the district received a request from Angela Leclerc from Employee Resource Group requesting access to records reflecting a current and complete list of all employees within the district. The response is pending. I think that is everything for me at this time.
All right. The next item on the agenda is board updates, which will be organized into two categories: liaisons and committees. Updates may not always be available depending on the timing of the meetings and events, but we will continue to revisit these items at future board meetings. First up would be Emily with EdRed.
Thanks. There was an EdRed summit and also a meeting, and I wrote a 16-page brief about it that compiles all the statuses of all of the bills and meeting notes and everything, because they send lots of emails. Anyway, I'll read. Shira also shared her report with me, so it's way better and funny. So I will share that first. I'm not gonna read it verbatim, but here we go. She went to the EdRed, this is for the mini summit that was from 8 to 12, like I think it was last week or the week before, and she went to a great first breakout session called The Superintendent, the Chief School Business Officer, a Lawyer, and a Board Member Walked into the Boardroom. This panel of experts in numerous areas presented their ideas of best practices. That was one of the same panels that I went to, and I think it was the same districts that I went to last year. That was the impetus for the gathering of all the school districts and superintendents together that I think is happening now, which is nice. There was also a breakout session about advocacy that she went to, and she said she's going to double down on her advocacy work, which I'm really excited about. Here's mine. Okay, so my update's really long. I just want to highlight, I have federal and state things that are going on. There's actually quite a bit happening right now, and I'm just going to highlight two federal things that are going on that don't directly impact us, but impact us spiritually. One of them is the federal education appropriations that is currently being thought through in the House committee. That will go to the full House, to the Senate. It cuts 10% overall from K-12 education budgeting. It cuts Title I by $1.9 billion. It cuts education research by 36%. And programs that are fully eliminated, I have to say all of these because it's really important. Teacher training, that's Title II and SEED. State assessments, English language acquisition, migrant, neglected, and delinquent students. I just can't handle this. Can you finish this? It's just I also am in my luteal phase, in a lot. And I can't handle listening to this.
I'm not
sorry,
laughing
I'm
at you,
sorry,
Emily,
it's
because
so
saying you're in
bad.
your luteal phase was the most.
No, I know, but it's this is emotional and horrible.
Yeah.
I can dig it. So education for homeless children and youth, arts and education, ready to learn, statewide family
Thank you.
engagement, full service community schools, promised neighborhoods, and preschool development grants. There were some federal funding conditions that were attached, some items related to transgender sports policy. The school is prohibiting male students from competing in women's sports as a condition of receiving federal funds.
Yeah, I can finish the rest of it. Yeah, it's just across the board horrible. So I recommend getting in touch with your senators and legislators. I've already done all of that, and Shira says she will do it too. Okay, let's keep going, even though it's also horrible. There's also a bill called HR 2612, which is, I'll just read the title of it, and then you can come to your own conclusions. It's called Stopping Indoctrination and Protecting Kids Act, which has everything to do about getting parental consent before kids are allowed to change their pronouns. So they're legislating that. There's also a whole bunch of tax credits that will be taken away. There's the one good thing is there's more cybersecurity assistance for schools. there's a new bidding portal too. So I'll skip the rest of the federal stuff. If you're interested, I will share this with you, and you can put it in the notes. In Illinois, however, there is a little slight increase for EBF funding, which doesn't really affect us. But structurally, a lot of the tier 2 schools will be severely impacted by some of these formula changes. So they're looking at the formula overall, but they know that will take decades probably, and it's a giant mess. Every time we have an EdRed meeting, one of us or somebody brings up the fact that the education funding in our state is screwed up anyway, and I think that's going to have to be a very big effort in order to do anything about it. The notice to remedy bill is in its final stages. The governor is supposed to sign it. It's a big deal, a procedural deal. It talks about what written warnings you have to do and how you do this disciplinary procedure with teachers, and it goes on and on and on. There's a lot of stuff about AI that is passing or is almost going to pass. There's the AI in teacher evaluations, which is a big deal. There's also AI in schools, and you can use AI for very specific administrative tasks. You can't use it for thinking, basically, which makes a lot of sense, right? I'm sorry I got emotional about that. It's just like really, really horrible.
Luteal phase, man.
Oh, luteal phase, hardcore. Luteal phase right now. It's really fun. Perimenopause is no joke. There's the removal of the word student growth in teacher evaluations, which means you can't use that as a demarcation of evaluating a teacher. There's a lot of student rights stuff that's going on. A lot of things about vision testing and new religious hairstyle protections, which is a big deal and pretty cool that they did that. There's also a lot of language changes. So like instead of saying expelled, you need to say administrative withdrawal. So there are all these language changes and sort of procedural changes about what you can do in terms of discipline. And there is no longer expulsion for K to second grade students. You can't expel a kindergartner, first grader, or second grader anymore. It will, anyway. One of the cool things that is going on that is effective immediately is that there is now recognition of twice exceptional students, which is 2E if you don't know what that is, which is really cool because I have one of those. And it says, I'll just read this verbatim, school boards may adopt a policy to develop IEPs that both advance students' strengths and support their disability-related needs. And then we're updating it from children to students, which I think is great because not all IEPs are for academic help. The big thing that happened that passed is the cell phone ban. And I know we've all heard about it. One of the things, and then there's all these conditions about what you can and can't do. So basically you can't use your cell phone while you're in class. You can't use them for high school during passing periods. The thing that we need to know about is that I don't know what kind of storage we need to supply, but we do need to supply, it says you must provide storage for cell phones. It doesn't say what kind, how much, how long, how secure, where, nothing. So we're waiting for some guidance on that. There's a bunch of other stuff about facilities. Let me see if there's anything really cool. Oh, there is a new requirement to have an alert, Alyssa's alert. It's a mobile panic system. I think we have something like that already. There's some things about drug storage, adult changing stations. One of the cool things that I like here too is there's an unused food sharing thing where now you can have share tables for food so that kids who aren't going to use some of their food can put their food aside for other kids to take, which is pretty cool. And there are a whole bunch of bills taking effect right now about cyberbullying, emergency contact renewals, and polling place e-learning day exception isn't going great, by the way, and sort of, yeah. So the polling, if we're selected as a polling place and we use an e-learning day, that day will not count toward the district's 5 emergency days, which is kind of nice, but schools can still be polling places. There are a whole bunch of bills that are paused for the summer and that are probably going to come back in the fall about the world language requirement, which is a big deal for 219. charter school things to MTSS, which will be interesting. There's also some stuff about 504s and a lot more on AI and biometric data. So there's just a ton of stuff. I have all of the bills outlined. I have every single thing that you can do outlined, and you're already in there. So there's 16 pages of information. A lot of it is really sad and horrible, and like 10% of it's kind of great. That's my report for EdRed. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. All right, next we have NTDSE.
All right, I just came from there. I ran. Let me start with May's meeting, and then I'll do a brief overview of what we just discussed in the June meeting. First and foremost, we have an official Golden Apple winner, Jerica Gill. She won, and it's actually a very cute story. She was out on maternity leave, and they surprised her by asking her to come into school, and I don't think she had any idea that she won. So with that, she won a $5,000 prize. She has the ability to take some audited classes at Northwestern, and I believe she also has the ability to take some form of a sabbatical, even though she's on maternity leave, so I don't think she needs any more time. Just joking, I'm a woman, all you need is more time. Let's see. Okay, 19 students graduated from, this is a whirlwind of an evening. It's pouring out. It's, okay, 19 students graduated from satellite schools. I'm jumping all over the place. This was the last year that they're having the high school students through NTDSE. They'll be moving on to their local schools, to specifically 219 and 207, something like that. I'm going to jump to, and then as of May, 78% of the families were registered. Okay, let me go to tonight. Some updates. The meetings will be taking place on the second Thursday of the month, no longer on the third Wednesday of the month. The old strategic plan is live and up on the website. It was from 2022 until 2026. Included in that is the special education audit. They know that we redid our strategic plan and that it's pending if we want to send any of our information to them. And then starting in the fall of 2027, they are going to be developing a new plan and working on that. Collective bargaining finished. We approved it in the May meeting. Main things that came out of there were they raised salaries about 3% across the board. Everyone is taking a hit with the health insurance. So those were the big ones. They hired 17 new certified employees, and there's one more certified employee that they're looking to hire. Starting in August or July when they start doing it, their early childhood planning, play-based assessments will be run through NTDSE for District 67, 70, and 74. I need to check back and see what's going on with 68. And then there's going to be early childhood assessment through each of the districts. What else? We'll be getting instead of a $2,000 cut check that's sent back to us for reimbursement, it's now going to be $4,000, which will not raise our co-op fees. They are implementing a new security plan where you can push the button. That's through Informacast. And there was one more thing. There's a bill that was passed for a $10 million tuition reimbursement for any special education child that goes to, I believe, a private school through the district. So not sure how that trickles down to us, but maybe more money. Who knows? Okay, that's that.
All right, next up is the collective bargaining agreement. I think we're getting close to making things happen, and then we can go into the new school year with a new contract and everybody be joyful and happy. Do you want to add anything? Okay. All right, that's it. We'll have more news to report later. And then do you have anything you want to update for the strategic plan?
Yeah, so we are following through with the next steps that were presented in May. Right now, the team is working to build out the scorecard. We have a very rough draft. We'll then present that to administrators for feedback in July, and then we'll definitely develop a robust communication for parents and the community in August that really shares all that out. And then that scorecard will go up on the website, and we are already working on quarterly dates to report back to the board on progress. So this will definitely be an August board meeting item in which we sort of give you a bit of an update on where things are at. So we're excited, we're moving along. We just had a 2-hour meeting with Studer yesterday afternoon, and it went really well. So it's definitely on the right track, so we're excited. More to come.
All right, the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. May I have a motion?
I move that the board approve the minutes from May 21st, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting, May 21st, 2026 Board of Education closed session meeting, and review of closed session minutes 2024-2025.
Second.
Lonegro,
Yes.
Shear,
Yes.
Sturbins,
Yes.
Warshaw.
Yes. The next item is our consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the personnel report as posted with the agenda for this meeting, includes employee recommendations, change of status, new hires and resignations, financial reports, which include fund balances for May 2026, and the statement of position report, pay orders and expenditures, which include accounts payable, statement of cash flow, and the P-card monthly report, payroll report, and policy second readings. Does any board member wish to remove the item from the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion and a roll call to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented by the board president.
Second.
Shear,
Yes.
Sturbins,
Yes.
Warshaw,
Yes.
Lonegro.
Yes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is informational reports and discussion items. Superintendent Grenz will provide us with an introduction and next steps. Thank you.
That is not AI generated,
He's been there
actually.
forever.
That is as real as it gets right there. I'll hand it over to Dr. Sarah Jedney to bring us up to speed on student success and curriculum.
All right. So we do have alignment here to our new strategic plan pillars, specifically classroom, and looking at our core value of achievement. So tonight I will share with you our fall to spring data with iReady for both literacy and math. We give you a little snapshot of our 5 essentials data from this past school year, and then I will go into curriculum review update and talk about the new literacy adoption through CFC. So I always have this slide up for you. It's just an explanation of iReady data. They report to us both student performance, which is measured on a scale between 100 and 800, and they report to us student growth, measured through typical growth, so that average annual growth for one academic school year that's nationally normed, and then also stretch growth, which is the growth that is recommended to close an achievement gap for students that are below grade level. Typically 20 to 30% of students make that stretch goal in one academic year. So for our iReady reading, these are our reading placement levels from fall 2025 to spring 2026. So we like to look at the numbers in green and stripy green. So green are the number of students, or the percentage of students that are on grade level, and the stripy green are above grade level. So by spring of 26, we had 61% in green, and that is up from about 38% in the fall. So we like to grow the green, and we like to shrink the red, obviously, making movement across the continuum there. This data does exclude our kindergarten students because they do not take the fall assessment. They don't take the assessment until December, which is considered winter. These are reading placement levels by domain. And so I just want to point out specifically that as part of our professional development plan, we had a pretty large focus on vocabulary development with our teachers and also informational text. So in those two areas, we went from fall to spring again from 33% being in green to 53%. So that's a really nice jump there. And then in informational text from 37% to 56%. So that work, that professional learning, the conversations being had at PLCs and Monday staff meetings and institute days is paying off. And again, this data excludes kindergarten. So in terms of growth, we had 67% of students who made at least 80% progress toward their annual typical growth. And we had 42% of students made at least 80% progress toward their annual stretch growth. And remember that little caveat I gave you about stretch growth, typically 20 to 30% make that, and we were at 42 with our students who made at least 80% growth. I like to always show you subgroup reading growth. So this is looking at all students compared to students with the designation of low income, multilingual learners, and then our special ed students. If you look at the blue bar compared to the purple bar, then that is the typical growth. So we can compare 2025 to this past year. And then if you look at stretch, that is the orange bar and the pink bar. That's pink mauve. I don't know what color that is. So, looking to increase that growth every year, and in many places that is happening. Math, the same set of slides for you for math. So we are again have an increase in our green and stripy green from 27% to over 50%. So that is a nice growth in that placement distribution. And then in terms of our domains, kind of hard to see on this screen, but each of the domains has the larger bar is the spring level data, and the smaller, a little more faded bar right up underneath it is fall. So you can kind of compare the growth in the green between spring and fall for each of those 4 domains. 66% of students made at least 80% progress toward their typical growth, and 41% made at least 80% progress toward their annual stretch growth in iReady. Here is the subgroup math growth. Again, comparing 25 to 26, so the blue and purple bars, and then our stretch growth in the orange, yellow-orange to pink bars.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So for reading, there was like 1 or 2 point differentiations, but for math, all of them, even 1 or 2 point differentiations, it either stayed stagnant or went down. What do you think that reason for that is?
Yeah, I think that we are, especially at our K-5, we're kind of hitting a point with curriculum that some of our students were not accessing the curriculum as much as we wanted to. Mostly are multilinguals. And in the curriculum review cycle component that I'll talk about in a few minutes, we are actually moving to a new edition of our curriculum. The curriculum itself is excellent. And I feel like we've gotten good results from it, but there are some pieces to the curriculum that don't have quite as much of an entry level for some of our students, and that has been an overhaul by the company to fix. And so I think that is going to make a difference. We also, to be honest, we brought back our math consultant for K-5. We had not had her in for a number of years. And so there are a lot of things that teachers are trying new for the first time, and I think that has led a little bit to an implementation dip. So we'll see in year 2 them kind of grow a little bit more confident in their skills at doing some of the things that she's asking them to do. So I think we'll see an increase. And actually in 5Es, I'll show you an increase in our math area under academic press. So in that regard, we have a nice increase in math.
Awesome.
Just seeing a little bit of a lag with growth here.
Okay, thank you for explaining.
Sure.
Kristen?
Yeah.
Similar question regarding performance for our special ed population. That seems to be the most statistically significant decrease in growth. Have you looked into whether there were differences between buildings or grades, or was that pretty uniform across the district?
We are in the middle of that analysis right now, and we'll actually bring that data to our retreat, our leadership retreat in early July to take a look at that. But that, the special ed piece is something that came out of the audit that we had done with Catalyst for Educational Change. And looking at the number of students that are meeting their IEP goals, the number of students who have access to general ed curriculum versus pull-out replacement curriculum. So all of those pieces are something that our radar is already up and looking at that information. But we'll know more about that after July.
Thank you.
Sure. Did you have a question?
The math consultant, was that just this year that came back?
First year back for K-5, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and was it like a evaluation and implementation at the same time this year, or what, how, is it just this 1 year with the consultant?
No, she's coming back.
Oh,
She
she's
is back again. Yeah, she
Okay.
just, for years, she was at K-5, and then we moved her to 6-8. Kind of gave K-5 a little bit of a break because we were focusing on literacy. So this is the first year we brought her back to K-5 to work with classroom teachers.
Okay.
So it had been a number of years, and we've had a lot of turnover and our teachers, retirements, things of that nature. And so a lot of that PD is new to many of the K-5 classroom teachers.
Thanks.
Sure. All right, so here's the 5 essentials for 2026. An area that we focused on in particular was ambitious instruction. Ambitious instruction is made up of 4 different sub areas, academic press being one of them, math instruction, English instruction, and quality of student discussion. In academic press specifically, our buildings worked on that within their buildings as part of their school improvement plans. We saw an increase of 18 in that from the previous school year. In 2024, we had an increase of +7, and then this year +18. So what that means is our kids, when they're asked questions about how challenging a class is, if a teacher asks difficult questions, is my homework, challenging for me, they are responding more favorably, saying, yes, those things are happening. And so for a 3rd through 8th grade student to indicate that, is telling, because that is something that they would not normally be thinking about, but for them to acknowledge that. So we do have that increase in academic press, but I also want to point out that the next highest area there was math instruction.
What does performance column mean?
So depending on the number of responses and a strongly agree to strongly disagree continuum, ambitious or 5 essentials assigns a performance level, so to speak. So neutral means that there might have been kind of an even parity between the agrees and the disagrees. And so you kind of get a neutral rating. There is a much more sophisticated answer to this than I'm giving you at the moment. And then strong is obviously kind of outweighs the more positive responses. Neutral is fairly typical,
So it's
which
average,
is,
kinda.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry for that lack of
No,
sophistication in
thanks.
my answer. All right, so just a quick little curriculum review cycle update. As I mentioned, in K-5 math, our Bridges curriculum is working really well, but we did recognize that some of our students some of the lessons and some of the units were not necessarily exactly what some of our students needed. And so Bridges has worked on a new version. It's version 3. We recognize that it has a lot of extended support specifically for multilingual learners. That was their focus and their whole point. We had 15 teachers who piloted the new edition. And there was a resounding consensus to move to the new version because it would cause a very minimal lift for teachers, even knowing that a new literacy curriculum was coming. They were like, yes, we need to move forward with this. So it's not an overhaul. It wasn't necessarily a curriculum adoption. It's just we're moving to the new version, which again is a very minimal lift for teachers, although we are providing professional development and support through our math specialists this summer for those who feel like they need it. And then K-8 literacy, the review through CFC is complete. I'm going to jump into that next. So our literacy review results, just as a reminder of who CFC is, it is the Collaborative for Curriculum. In the beginning, I could not remember what this stood for, so I finally landed on Confusion for Christy because I could not recall the name of what this was, but it is, in fact, the Collaborative for Curriculum. And
More it is.
and it's kind of a running joke with Dr. Schmidt and me. I'm like, what does it stand for again? So it is a joint endeavor between District 219 and District 68. Of course, we joined last June. District 69, which has been a long-standing member of the partnership. Golf 67 has also been a part of it for a long time, as well as NTSC. And then just recently, in the last 2 months maybe, District 73 and a half joined the collaborative. And their goal is really to, as part of their strategic plan, to work to ensure a guaranteed and viable curriculum for their incoming students. And they partner with districts around curriculum adoptions, curriculum reviews for literacy, math, and then science STEM. All right, so the presentation is, first of all, this is not of my design. This is Ryan McCarty's presentation that he has shared. So I just wanted to give ownership to him and all of the work that he did for this. I am just the instrument to share with you. So what this presentation will talk about is why we did this change, why we needed it now, who was involved in it, how the program was decided upon, which materials were recommended to the District 219 board, and then when the change is going to occur. So in 2024, the state of Illinois issued the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan, which had 3 major goals, and that guidance that came out was a very robust literacy plan, really kind of spurred a lot of Illinois districts to take a hard look at the literacy components that were in place in their curriculum resources, and so this was a perfect time to kind of launch into this review. ISB also has a focus on making sure that there's educational equity across all programs, policies, and practices, and so again, this is just another reason, especially in our area, Niles Township, to make sure that what we're putting in front of all kids is what they need. So who was involved? The power of teamwork. The CFC team, it was really instrumental, from Colin, who is the executive director, to Ryan, who I just mentioned a moment ago, the director of K-8 literacy, and James, their coordinator for instruction. Coupled with district and building leaders from all of the districts that are participating, and then teachers who are named as lit leaders, attending all of these trainings, the monthly meetings, planning for the pilots, really putting a lot of effort and thought into this whole process. So a lot of people involved. We had 81 teachers and leaders that participated across the districts. There were 48 classroom teachers, 7 instructional literacy specialists, 2 multilingual teachers, 6 coaches, 10 SPED teachers, 8 administrators, who all came together at different times and in different groups to move through this whole process and undergo the literacy pilot this past school year. So some of the lit leaders' responsibilities really were to kind of think about what high quality instructional materials look like, share that with their teams. They represented the perspective of the CFC team back to their grade level teams. They planned and they piloted 3 different sets of instructional materials, which was no small undertaking. They evaluated the components of the materials based on a rubric, and then helped make a recommendation based on evidence. So this is just a little example of what a pilot evidence form and rating process look like. And it really is made up of one of the initial pieces to the process was finding out from the teachers what their priorities were for whatever this new curriculum would be. So those found their way into this evidence form, and the rating process that came along with it really made sure that we were looking at all of the things that the teachers kind of were holding sacred to what literacy instruction should look like, but also coupled with what best practice says about literacy instruction and what a high quality curriculum would include. So this is just an example of one particular portion. This dimension and criteria is specifically around standards-based formative and summative assessment and rubric that focuses specifically on differentiation for multilingual students and diverse learners. And so the 4 bullet points that you see on the right all come from research-based entities, places like ISB, also places like the EQUIP rubric, which is a very well known rubric for identifying high quality curriculum, and specifically that is meant for diverse learners. So this is just a little taste of what the kinds of things that the teachers were looking at, rating, and then providing input on. So this slide gives you kind of from start to finish, if you follow the yellow arrows, of what kind of the entire process went through. So they started with 91 total materials that were reviewed on Ed Reports. Ed Reports generates information that tells you if a curriculum kind of meets their standards for being high quality. That was narrowed down to 27 K-5 reports on Ed Reports that got greens, so to speak, on Ed Report, meaning that they were worthy of another look. That moved then to a narrowing down from there, 8 that got all green, and those particular curriculum resources had a hard copy review. So reached out to the vendors, asked for samples of all of the curriculum, and then they're opening up the teacher editions, the student books, or looking at the hard copy of all the materials to determine if it is going to fit kind of what our visions for literacy curriculum would look like. From there, took a look at that EQUIP rubric, an enhanced EQUIP rubric, to determine if it met some of those high level pieces of high quality curriculum. It moved then into the must-haves that literacy leaders identified as priorities. That led to identifying the programs to pilot. So we just keep whittling down the choices. And then that led to doing the actual pilot and then the ratings of each. So a pretty robust process. Another piece that helped kind of make the decision was gathering student voice. So there's a quote here from a 5th grader at Devonshire who took a survey that was given, provided feedback about their experience with one of the curricular pieces in particular. Some pictures of some of the kids and holding their books and some of the writing that they did. So student voice was important in this process as well. And then this is just a quick 1-minute video of 2 of our teachers, Brandy and Alexa from Highland, who talk about teacher voice.
We felt like our voice was heard in the process through the teacher feedback forms, uploading our student data, and then the survey at the end, but also throughout the process with getting to meet throughout and talking with other teachers who were also piloting, and then the leaders were there to hear our feedback. And then also getting to get feedback from the companies and then have our questions answered through that. It made me feel a lot more like I mattered in the process, because the companies were also listening to our feedback and wanting to answer our questions.
We also noticed the process was really the same throughout all 3 pilots, so everything seemed like it was handled with fidelity. It didn't seem like one program was preferred over the other by our lovely leaders, and all of the questions were the same. The process was the same, and we really got comfortable going through the process each time.
All right, so now to the recommendation. So of the 3 materials that were piloted, arts and letters was the chosen one. It had an overall rating of very good, meeting most of the criteria, whereas the other 2 had good ratings, but not as strong and did not meet as many of the criteria. This breaks down the different areas of the different dimensions of the rubric and the ratings. And so arts and letters was very good across the board, except for differentiation for multilingual students, which received a good designation, and the others, again, not meeting as many of the criteria there.
What are the asterisks for?
The top rated, yes, thank you, say that again?
The top rated of the 3. So the arts and letters was good, but it was still higher than HMH is good.
Oh, yes,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the actual numerical value to the rating was higher
Okay.
for arts and letters under that middle column than
Yep.
the HMH one.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sorry. And then for 6-8, we landed on HMH into literature, again with a very good rating, meeting most of the criteria. And here are the dimensions for this. Across the different dimensions. So what does implementation look like? It started off with communicating the why behind the chosen curriculum to all the teachers, and then moving into 3 different offerings for summer PD, with focus points being on how to walk yourself through the instructional materials, how to use what, when, looking at unit and lesson structure design, backwards planning, and then using data to drive instruction. That learning will continue and be embedded in our Monday early release days, in PLC meetings and in institute days, with, again, CFC supporting that work, but also us owning some of that work with our own teams. And then ongoing implementation analysis. So there will be feedback loops with teachers and with literacy specialists, and then continued literacy leader participation with CFC. They are actually continuing their meetings this summer to dig a little deeper into the curriculum and be able to build their capacity in supporting their teacher colleagues during the school year. Any questions?
I just want to add something. One of the big reasons that we're going with was it arts and letters?
Arts and letters.
Is that it is paper. It is removing
Yes.
us
Yay.
from iPads. So that's a big thing. When we get in, I don't know if you're going to get into middle school, 6 to 8, they're doing a different curriculum that is a little bit more dependent on technology, but hopefully the kids can handle that. But that was one thing. It's books in hand. The kids will actually be able to deal with pen and paper.
Yes, yes.
And that was intentional.
Yes.
I was really impressed with the CFC presentation we saw in May. They did a great job. Just even seeing the, path they took in terms of starting with ed reports. I think seeing and hearing Alexa and Brandy's voice is huge. It's also something we heard in the strategic plan, which is a desire for more teacher voice. So it does sound like a really solid process that was followed through. We had Dr. Schmidt, Dr. Samajendi involved as well. So I think it's exciting and hopefully will make it less of a lift, because it is hard to do something new, but we're already talking about professional development and how can we as a leadership team really focus on the literacy curriculum, not just, leaving it to the teachers, but we're actually building it into our leadership team meetings throughout the year to see, what are we doing to kind of walk the talk as well. So I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing it in the classrooms, which is, definitely a goal as well to get out more. So exciting stuff all around. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Dr. Schmidt, for braving the weather. You thought you came here for no reason, but no, it was worth it. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
I think I have policy.
Yes,
Is that it?
so the next item on the agenda is informational report, oh wait, no, yeah. You're on.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
We're not doing
We're on C.
yeah, board policies, yeah.
I have that as an action item. We've got, looks like policy.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So, following up on Press 121, we'll have 8 to 12 policies at each meeting. For this meeting, we have 9. I'm gonna just read them through, and if I don't refer to the policy directly afterward, it really only has renumbering and footnotes. So 650, school wellness, 665, student social and emotional involvement, 6100, using animals in the educational program, 6145, migrant students, 6170, Title I programs, 6180, extended instructional programs, 720, harassment of students prohibited, 750, school admissions and student transfers to and from non-district schools, and 7100, health, eye, and dental examinations, immunizations, and exclusion of students. So the majority of these, again, just footnotes and renumbering, with the exception of 650, school wellness. So if you remember, we talked a little bit about this for those that were involved in some of the conversations around wellness throughout earlier in the year. There was a change with the Farm Fresh Schools Program Act, so there are some updates reflected in that. But just as a really cheap commercial here, we are focused on wellness with the new strategic plan. It's actually one of our first values in the W for We Are 68. So we'll have much more to talk about throughout the year as we build goals around student wellness, physical wellness, nutrition, etc., as well as staff wellness. So more to come on that, not major updates, but just wanted to highlight that it is a focus for us. The other is 6145, migrant students. So in August of 2025, there was an Illinois law that was passed protecting students who identify as immigrants. We had already had procedures in place to align with that law. And then additionally, just as a reminder, the board passed the commitment to belonging in November. But this is really safeguarding and ensuring that students who identify as an immigrant can receive a public education. And there are some law-related matters that took effect that changed some of the policy language. No practice changes for us. And then similarly in 750, school admissions and student transfers to and from non-district schools, same thing, because of that school law that took place, that Illinois code change, there is the prohibiting a denial of free and public education to children in Illinois, as well as some renumbering and such. But those are the two that have the most substantial, if anything, related to changes, but no changes in practice for us as a district. Any questions on any of those? Alright.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the posting and acceptance of the Skokie School District 68 tentative budget for 2026-2027 fiscal year. May I have a motion?
I move to adopt the Skokie School District 68 tentative budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. Authorize the administration to make the budget available for public inspection 30 days prior to adoption at the September 17th, 2025 board meeting. And should that be 2026?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
2026, 2027?
well, yeah, it says,
Oh, sorry, yeah, 2026.
yeah, okay, sorry. Inspection 30 days prior to adoption at the September 17th, 2026 board meeting and to authorize the administration to publish the notice of public hearing on the tentative 2026-2027 school budget to be held on September 17th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Second.
Alright, so let Kenya catch her breath really quick as well as Jill. So just to give you a quick reminder, this is approval for the tentative budget to be broadcast forward. So the final budget then comes back in September and is much more accurate at that time. This is a tentative, but by Illinois school code, we are required to formally adopt the approval of us posting it. Kenya, some highlights for us, please. How's the drum roll?
It was a one.
So in the memo, we provided some tentative budget from this year to next year to see where we stood. As you see, the revenue has increased because we have one development that did complete. So I'm hoping to see some of that revenue come in the coming year.
Which one, Harm's Woods?
Yeah,
Correct.
that one is finally completed. So I project that we'll see some of that revenue come through.
Sweet.
So hopefully cross our fingers. And then for expenditures, as you can see, those expenditures extremely declined because we're gonna be completely almost finished with ECC. Hopefully we'll get majority of those bills in for this year. We may have some that may roll over into next year. They haven't given me the final numbers of what's remaining just yet. Enrollment was an estimate in last year's numbers that we gave you, and this year we did the actual numbers, so you'll see an increase in that.
This is -3 because I haven't enrolled my children.
2. Minus 2.
So 5 total, add to that.
You guys need to
Publicly
register.
shamed.
I would literally do it the second it comes out because I'm like,
This is different this time. You have to do.
It's a great commercial. That's why you brought it up. It's a commercial.
Yes,
for
and
all
there's
those tuning
an
in.
all-in-day thing coming up in July where you can enroll.
There you go. Additional commercial.
Yes.
Cheap airtime here.
guys, this is embarrassing.
Listen.
So I wanted to just highlight some of the major expenses. As we know, salary and benefits is always the majority of the cost of the district. Expenses, capital outlay is our projects, which is declining to less than what it was in the past. And our purchase services, we're doing our best to decrease some of those services we have outsourced out and bring some of those in. So we'll see that difference as well. Hopefully that will go down, but I haven't gotten those numbers as well for NTSD and some of our other services. So hopefully those will decline. So once we get through with this, finish the tentative, we'll have some stronger numbers, do our presentation with a presentation and the budget booklet for September for you guys to review some of the more stable numbers. And then the back page is just a summary of the actual budget summary page that is actually part of the ISB required state budget forms. Just to give you a synopsis of how it's broken down in the summary format by each fund, by all local revenue categories and all of the expenditure categories. I do have some numbers in red, but I hope those decrease when we do our final numbers. I do have some contingency in those numbers in education, so they're not all totally expenses, but it's some assumption numbers for things that may happen throughout the year that we did not plan for. We try to put a little cushion in there for those scenarios. And that's pretty much. Any questions?
I have a question. So the expenses were about 70 million, and then the year before that, it was you said that was an increase of 2.4 million from the year before, from 24 to 25.
24-25 is the 2.4 million from this coming year to this year.
Yes. About
Cause 17.4 million was ECC and another 8 million for Highland. The two together was roughly 25 million.
So in 24-25, it was,
About 10 or 12 million, cause it was Devonshire.
so it was like 45-ish million expenses. Oh, so we're just a little bit more than we were 24-25. Okay.
And then I think High Stetson was the year before that.
Yeah.
Which was another.
So we don't have any
7
more of these capital projects coming up next year.
We have some small ones,
Little
but
things.
nowhere near as big as what we have done in the last 4 years.
Keep in mind, some of the 26-27 amount is the work outside right now,
Yeah.
being paid back.
Right.
So that is still, that's why there's still also that.
Is that adding more parking spaces in the front?
Out here they are currently,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, so nice.
Finally.
we just wanted to give you another obstacle coming late
I
from
didn't read my
NTSC.
email and I go in and I was like,
Dug
why
that
is no
hole.
one here?
Dug that hole for you. It was
What the heck?
another challenge.
Alright, we good?
Mhm.
Alright, the next
We
item,
have to vote.
oh, sorry,
Oh.
just kidding.
Sturbins,
Yes.
Warshaw.
Yep.
Lonegro.
Yep.
Shear.
Yes. Alright, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the resolution designation interest earnings of fiscal year 2025 to 2026. May I have a motion?
I move that the board approve the resolution designation interest earnings of fiscal year 2025-2026 as presented.
Second.
So this is a practice we started in 24-25. It's basically a formal designation of interest earnings as income rather than principal. This is for this last fiscal year 25-26. So it's in accordance with the school code. So we've historically retained interest within the originating fund, but rising interest rates have made these earnings a much more significant revenue source for us. So we get more flexibility by transferring those interest earnings between funds, but legally that needs to be board approved. So that's why we're bringing it here. So we did this again last year as a starting point, and it seems to be a practice we'll probably use in the future as well. So it's just your approval of that transfer.
Mhm.
Kenny, anything I missed on that? I'm trying my best.
It's just a good practice to continue to have every year when we do have interest. It gives us more flexibility once we do a resolution.
Warshaw.
Yes.
Lonegro.
Yes.
Shear.
Yes.
Sturbin.
Yes.
Alright, the next item of business is the approval of the resolution of intent to issue working cash fund bonds to not exceed $13 million. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution of intent to issue working cash fund bonds not to exceed $13 million for the purpose of increasing the working cash fund of the district and directing that notice of such intention be published in the manner provided by law.
Second.
So we do have a very patient representative here, our partner from Chapman and Cutler, Angelevich, who we've all met in the past last year. So this is similar to past practice. The administration is proposing the issuance of up to $13 million in non-referendum working cash fund bonds. As just mentioned, this would help finance some of the significant capital improvement projects that have taken place. As a reminder, we still owe almost $10 million with the Early Childhood Center. So this really would help us preserve our strong financial position. It's a process that's been used in the past within the district. We asked Angela to come here just in case you have any questions of significance. It is a long process.
Now I feel like we have to ask you.
It is a long process. It will take several board meetings to go through. This is more of the introduction of the process that's formalized and obviously public and transparent. But we just wanted to make sure that Angela was here in case any of you had questions as we get started. Anything at all?
I feel bad because you came out, but you guys did do a really good job explaining this to us prior.
Yes.
Thanks.
Sorry.
We're good? Lonegro.
Yes.
Shear.
Yes.
Sturbins.
Yes.
Warshaw.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item of business is the approval of the resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of an obligation to be issued by Skokie School District 68. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution expressing official intent regarding certain capital expenditures to be reimbursed from proceeds of an obligation to be issued by Skokie School District 68.
Second.
So the motion really says it all with this. This is acknowledging how those funds would be used. By adopting the resolution, the board then preserves the district's ability to reimburse those qualifying costs incurred within the last 60 days as well as future expenditures. This again has a compliance element to it related to those applicable reimbursements, and it'll help us timely wise again with the ECC. So it's in connection to the approval of the issuance. It's expressing the intent of those funds. Anything I missed on that, or questions you have? All right.
Shear,
Yes.
Disturbance,
Yes.
Warshaw,
Yes.
Glenville.
Yes. The next item of business is the approval of, we're on E, right?
Mhm.
Okay. The next item of business is the approval of the Illinois State Board of Education Targeted School Improvement Plan for Devonshire Elementary School. May I have a motion?
No, you can. I move to approve the Illinois State Board of Education Targeted School Improvement Plan for Devonshire Elementary School as presented.
Second.
So Dr. Jenny, I'll hand it over to in a minute. As discussed previously, Devonshire was identified by the Illinois State Board of Ed in 25 for targeted support based on performance of students, specifically students with disabilities. And they have been working hard with the comprehensive Illinois State Board of Education School Improvement Plan. That's a separate template than what we use currently as a district. I don't want to say too much more in case there's more you want to add, but I know the team's been heavily invested. Dr. Schmidt as well has been a support, as well as the team members there. We were even working with the North Cook, who did a great job helping out too.
North Cook, DuPage, and again, the Catalyst for Educational Change, another C, not a CFC, but a CEC. So yeah, they worked really hard, the team, to dig into many pieces of data and try to determine what areas they wanted to focus on to impact Devonshire in the most positive way possible. This past school year has been a planning year. Next year is implementation year 1. That again will come with some funds from the state, $31,000 for school improvement grants. We are most likely going to partner with CEC again for some professional development, specifically for special education teachers. Still kind of figuring that piece out. But they have identified some academic achievement areas that they want to focus on, as well as student attendance. Can't help kids grow if they are not in school. And so that was an area that they identified as a need.
How many years is it?
It is 3 years.
Okay.
Yes, 3 years. So even if you move out of that designation, you kind of continue the plan, which makes sense because it takes time to make things happen.
The money continues those 3 years?
Yes. Yes. It'll go down again in year 3 to, I think it's 26,000. Yes. And so ISB requires this school improvement plan to be adopted by the local board of education, and then that is submitted as part of the SIP grant application. So coming to you for approval of the Devonshire Targeted School Improvement Plan.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
All of these action steps make sense to me. The one for attendance, though, it's like very vague in that it just says communicate to families about the importance of attendance, which we already do with the other schools, and clearly it's not working in the same way for Devonshire. So what is that actually going to look like?
That is something that the team is still working on specifically, a lot of those action items. This template is really kind of a boilerplate.
Okay.
It's not necessarily the meat and potatoes of the plan. That'll be fleshed out a little bit more as the team continues to meet and actually use our school improvement template
Okay.
to identify those specific actions, who owns the actions, and then how they'll be monitored.
Sounds great.
There is a unique attendance opportunity with North Cook that we haven't finalized yet, and we're hopeful and on a wait list for, but that will be a major support in which we can have a possible designated person at Devonshire to be really helpful with student attendance. So we're in the queue. I think we're top of the list.
We are.
But I think it's something I know the SIP team at Devonshire expressed a lot of interest in, as well as Principal Ritz, and the team here obviously is advocating to try to land it, but it's, I think, a waiting game for us, but hopefully we'll see what comes. But that will be a huge incentive and in terms of, or a huge resource to attendance.
Don't know if you have the numbers off the top of your head, but what is the attendance rate of Devonshire compared to Highland and Stetson? What's the, I mean, and this can be an email later, like what is it truly, is it just like something that they're saying, oh, the scores could go up if there's more attendance, or is it actually truly like an issue at Devonshire?
It's more about the number of students that are chronically absent. And I know that they did, I don't have those numbers, but I can definitely find those for you. I know that they did look specifically at the children with disabilities subgroup.
Okay.
And looked at attendance. And so that was definitely a data point that kind of triggered that we need to look into this a little bit more. Overall, all of our schools have been struggling with chronic absenteeism. That's been a statewide issue since COVID. And they all have been working on trying to increase attendance and help parents understand that being absent 20 days, 40 days is, or more, and there are a lot of kids who miss more than that, is very impactful, right? Yeah.
My 2 kids at Hello Torah had 0 absences.
Good for you, Jill.
Perfect
Okay.
attendance.
Right.
Okay.
You went to school with a fever.
I was gonna say, we
don't know
rule in tardies.
why.
Okay. I think
I think there are
ready.
a lot of reasons.
I think that is it pre-COVID, if you had a fever,
Never mind, we're not ready.
do you have, you have a fever, you have to wait 24, like you have to be clear 24 hours, so it's a minimum of 2 days out usually.
Yeah.
Was that the same before COVID?
Yes.
It was the same?
Yeah.
It was a 24
But
hours.
people also weren't like very much like open about.
Right.
I think the additional challenge we've talked, I mean, it's definitely dependent on families, scenarios, student needs, et cetera, of course. But there is a growing wondering about even like work from home settings, leading to even more flexibility in terms of students staying home when in past, it was a little less easy. I mean, our student with disability numbers are not massively lower, but it's definitely an area that team has looked at to try to figure out. But I think it's just something we've seen, all schools have seen since COVID has been a dip in attendance. High schools have really experienced a challenge with this over the last 5 years. So it's something that we want to focus on and continue to work through. But I think you said it best, where we can't increase learning opportunities if we don't have the students present. So one of the things we've talked about working on is communicating with our families, both to honor cultures and family traditions, particularly around travel, but to also help really get the calendar out and help de-emphasize leaving during the school year and express the importance of staying as much as possible during the school year for those days that we can. And I think our calendar is something that, accommodates a lot of that, but that's been a challenge for us too, is vacations during the school year. And that's a challenge for a lot of school districts. But it's something that, these are kind of different hypotheses that the team is working on. Again, and that's a big part of school improvement planning, is looking at attendance data and trying to figure out how can we incentivize it, how can we increase engagement, how can we make it so students miss school. That's the best part, right? And making sure that they really want to come.
Great.
So that's another motivating factor, and that goes also back to instruction and having really high interest, high quality materials so that the students are loving what they're doing. So those are kind of like the bigger pieces, but vacation's definitely an element, as well as work from home for certain families, of course, that have that experience. So it's a lot.
Servants?
Yes.
Warshaw?
Yes.
Lonegro?
Yes.
Shear.
Yes.
Okay, the next item of business is entering into closed session of the board. May I have a motion? Go for it, Jill.
I move that the board enter into closed session for the following items. Collective negotiate team matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees 5 idle at CS 120/2 C2. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. 5 ILCS 120/2 C1.
Second.
I hang out with her every day. How do I do this? Because we all need a Jill in life.
Portia,
Yes.
Lonegro,
Yes.
Shear, Disturbance.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And